getting toasted, joking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
Well.
That sounds like a party about to begin, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. We are here with stories and tastings and talkings and ruminations about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And we're on show number 385.
We like to keep this show interesting. You never know what we're going to talk about, mostly because we never know what we're going to talk about.
That's right. But you can always count on there being a little bit of cigars and spirits and craft beer in there somewhere, because those are just things that we like. So we're at show number 385. That puts us officially halfway to 500, and we're very excited about the halfway
That
point.
is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is good. We will do all kinds of fun things on this show today, including talking about the 5 best sipping whiskeys that you can actually afford. So we're looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah,
That you can actually afford.
That you can actually
That
afford.
might actually be in stock.
Yeah, exactly. That aren't like completely.
I mean, I have my own personal list.
Well, good. We'll talk about that too.
I bet I could come up with a top 3.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can work on that. In the meantime, we will do some interesting tastings today from Martin House Brewing Company in Fort Worth, Texas.
Enough said. Martin House is awesome.
Yeah, they really are. And I was telling
Yeah.
Terry, because he was before the show, because he was excited about this particular beer.
I am.
It's a watermelon squeeze. It's a watermelon blonde ale, and Terry was saying when he saw that on the show notes, he was excited about it. And I said, well, it's from Martin House. So one thing we know is they don't make bad beer.
No.
Now they might make something that isn't to your palate.
They make crazy beer, yes.
Yeah, but they don't. I've never had a Martin House beer that I thought this is not good.
They've grown into a beer company that's kind of taken over like Ingenious.
Right.
Like we had Ingenious here for a while, which just did crazy beers. They have a different personality than Ingenious did, but it's taken over that same spot where like they're going to have something crazy.
Yeah.
And it's going to be well done.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I'm excited to taste this as well. It is a watermelon blonde ale, Martin House Brewing Company, of course, out of Fort Worth,
Sounds good.
Texas. And then, am I ever excited about this? From Broussard, Louisiana, and Parish Brewing Company, one of my absolute favorite breweries in the world. We'll be trying another variation of Ghost in the Machine.
really,
Yes, this is their double dry hopped Ghost in the Machine.
Okay, because
I'm super
the
excited
other one
about
we
it.
tried was pretty outrageously
We've tried
good.
Ghost in the Machine. We've tried the double Ghost in the
Yes,
Machine.
and it was so good.
And then what was the other? We tried another variation. I can't recall off the top of my head, but they were all just amazing.
Yeah.
And then so to round out our brewery selection for today's show, I thought, if you got Martin House, if you got Parish, where can you go after that and not feel like you're, like taking a step backward, right?
Let's see. Who's making big beers that are outrageous? That would be Dogfish Head, maybe.
That's a good candidate. It's not who it is.
If you're going on the really wild side, you could maybe like Firestone has like their Velvet Merkin and some other outrageous
Talking about
ones.
Firestone Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. We're talking about Firestone Walker. today.
Firestone is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Firestone Walker out of Marina del Rey, California. We'll be tasting their 25th edition special reserve anniversary ale.
Nice.
So, yeah, I haven't even looked at the bottle. It's in a box. I think we even did the B-roll before the show of it in the box.
awesome. In the box.
So I'm really excited about this, and I have no idea what to expect except that it will be good because Firestone Walker.
Firestone Walker, yeah,
so
100%.
And then for Spirit today, we will be tasting a tequila from Mexico. It is the Don Fulano Tequila Anejo. And I'm completely unfamiliar with this particular tequila company. Hadn't read anything about them, but this set me back a couple of bucks. But I thought, let's try it. So
Okay.
It's a lovely bottle.
yeah, it is a lovely bottle.
I haven't
So
seen any of this.
we'll get to that as we
hid it from you.
move forward. We'll tell you about some cigars to watch for. We'll bring you another drinking fact, and I can give you the topic of today's drinking fact, and that is that we will show you factually that beer goggles are a real thing.
Ooh.
They actually functionally exist.
We scienced it?
We scienced it.
Scienced it.
I love that. So we'll get to that, and of course,
That's not just an urban myth.
no, it is a real thing. I promise you, and we will science you. We will lay some science on your ass on this program. With
I
the drinking fact.
saw a meme the other day that said, "Hey, why didn't you say hi to me when you were at the bar the other night?" And then it just said me at the bar, and it had this blurry picture where you can't really see anything, but you're at a bar.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. Also, we will be bringing you the most popular feature on this program, and has been now for several years. We don't really
Madness.
understand why, but that is the segment we like to call Drinking News, and that's where we bring you a story from the news that is sometimes, but not always, about drinking. But it is always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. And today's Drinking News teaser headline: Shuffling off this mortal coil. That seems to be a very serious Drinking News
Mortal
headline, doesn't it?
Coil is a cigar, by the way.
Yeah,
too.
and it's also a recording company, or no, it was a band I think called This Mortal Coil that I used to listen to back in my '80s goth period. And you do not want to see any photos of me, by the way, from my '80s goth period.
Did you have a favorite eyeliner?
I did. It was the same one that Robert Smith from The Cure used.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying. So anyway, we'll get to that. We'll also be talking, as I mentioned, about the 5 best sipping whiskeys that you can actually afford. I'm really excited for this. So we'll get to that. A whole lot of other things on the program. But before we go any further, I think it is time for the segment where we like to bring in something that at least only one of us knows what it is. And then we bring it in, we try it, and then everybody talks about it. The beverage of mystery. That's what it is, the beverage of mystery. I brought this one, so I'm the only one that knows what it is. And we'll all try it and talk about it, and then we'll
dense.
do the big reveal.
Can't see through it.
This is known as the beverage of mystery, otherwise known as, is that a beer in your pocket?
We shall soon see.
This looks like pineapple
I say that
juice.
because you always put the can in your pocket.
And I do have the can in my pocket right now. So it was a couple of weeks ago, though, I brought like one of those 16-ounce cans. I couldn't fit it in my pocket. So
This smells like a Sunny D experiment gone left.
Well, if you get a little 7-Up and put it in that Sunny D, you can put it in that punch bowl.
what do you get on the nose besides Sunny D?
There's something in there. I'm not.
It's citrus, but you're right. I cannot.
Something funky in there?
It
They're
smells like a powdered mix that you like. When you pour a powdered mix and then you get a little bit of the that comes up in your nose before you mix in the water.
Yeah, right.
It smells like that.
I mean, it doesn't smell bad.
Like if you don't
It
stir
smells
the
like a Smartie.
like if you don't stir the tang well enough.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It smells
Yeah.
it smells like a Smartie almost.
Yeah.
It does have that sort of sharp tang to it of Smartie.
Yeah.
Right.
Weirdly enough, it has a very, very tangy nose to it, but it does not smell like tang necessarily.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm gonna say it has sort of is this like a cinnamon something in there? I don't know. It's
Okay, so there's a sour component to this.
Sour.
Sour. There is something resembling cinnamon.
It's almost like
I
I almost tasted a little Christmas.
It's floral.
something like that was yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's floral. There's like a sour
Oh, it's
lemon,
floral, all right.
and floral.
It's like they really punch bowled this Sunny D,
But it does have that Sunny D or tang vibe to it.
but like they put 7-Up in it, and a little fruit in the punch bowl, and
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of you go to a party at someone's house and they made a big bowl of punch and you have no idea what they put in it, but
Yes.
you know they were just experimenting.
What is that
At your
one?
behalf.
There's one note that I am not. I don't know what it is. I
I think
It's a flower of some sort. It's
Yes.
like dandelion or
I
something.
think you're going to know what it is when I reveal the can.
all right.
And this is
the reveal.
It's a small can, so I'm going to hand this to you, Ian, because I can't read the
Okay.
fine print on this. It's too
Maybe it
small.
tastes like
I have the
incense.
glasses.
This is a Pamos Tropical Mai Tai Spritz, and it is 2% THC and 2% CBD.
Oh.
Now, do you know what you're tasting in there?
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So these THC and CBD cocktails are becoming more and more prevalent in the world of canned cocktails.
There's no alcohol in
Yes.
this whatsoever.
Yeah, it's all THC.
I'm to understand that only the legalities of it are what's keeping some of the big, Budweisers and Cokes and
Yeah,
stuff from
yeah.
getting into that market.
Right. Mostly the people who are doing it are smaller ones. But I will tell you that here in Houston, one of our larger craft breweries, Eighth Wonder, they're going big into this
They're
THC
gonna dive
cocktail
into
thing.
it.
Yeah, they already are. They're huge into it. In fact, they were at I was at the little Pink Boots beer festival event this last weekend, and a whole bunch of local breweries there, and their booth was almost exclusively about their THC stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, what do you think of this, Ian? Is this something you would like reach for?
I don't totally hate the drink itself.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I don't do cannabis.
Yeah. Right. I understand. Yeah.
And just because I become very boring. Like I will bore myself. Then I'll try to play video games very badly.
Everybody responds differently.
I will eat everything and then go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Well, don't go to sleep on us during the show. Just
Well, so it's different because edibles hit you
knockout.
differently.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, for
Edibles in general hit you differently. Now, that being said, I haven't really explored edibles either, other than quite a few years back. A friend of mine always had brownies at his Christmas party. So I don't.
Well, I will tell you this about edibles: check the dosage. do not fail to check the dosage.
Have you ever seen the
This is where they
The
need
Ted
regulation
movies?
because the dosage
Yes.
really can be different from
Yes.
different ones.
Have you ever seen the Ted movies?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love when they're talking about the different kinds of pot they have. This one's called
Yes.
Dude, how long has that van been parked there?
Yeah, I love that. The names
Or
were great.
this one's called I'm gonna need some help getting home.
Yeah, I love that one. That was
There's
great.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
could you just please take me home?
Yeah, those are really funny
yeah,
movies.
so I don't know. It says
Seth MacFarlane,
it says-
he's the man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It says cannabis cocktails a better way to drink. Hemp derived cannabis, fast acting, natural flavored, and non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
The FDA has not evaluated this product for safety or efficacy.
See,
Yeah. See,
you just
This
can't do that
product
with
is
the-
not
We're-
intended
we're
to
risking things to taste
diagnose,
stuff for
treat,
you.
cure,
I just
or
want
Yeah,
to
prevent
exactly,
any
exactly.
disease.
Yeah. So
Come on,
I
FDA.
find it interesting, and I don't hate it, but I would not reach for it.
I don't think so. The flavor, like it's again,
I kind of
it's,
liked the flavor.
it's
I thought it
kind of
was
drinkable,
cool, but yeah,
I can't imagine slamming a whole glass of
yeah,
this.
well, I mean, I wouldn't want more than about what's in that can because how big is that can? That's not even a full 12
It's like a little
can.
juice can.
It's a
you know?
7.5 fluid ounce can.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't want more.
Or
than
for
what
those
was-
of you listening to us across the pond, 225 milliliters.
Thank you for I don't know why it is, by the way, that there are all these countries around the world who don't have the decency to use our system of weights and measures. Come on. Just saying. Okay, yeah, I have no idea why. When I was growing up in school, we were told everything was going to the metric system.
The UK
And
has
at some point,
pounds,
it
they
just stopped.
use it for money.
Yeah, right. That's right. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Ian's going to tell us about the cigar that he smoked for the show this week, which, by the way, I'll mention, right before the show, he gave me one. So I'm very excited to hear your review of this cigar from Man of War.
It should be pretty fun.
All right, so we'll get to that coming up. Plus, the tasting starts soon here on Smoking and Toasted. Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. My name is Cruz. My co-host is Ian Barry. Behind the wheels of steel, we have the one and only Terry Michaels, and Adam in the Sky is our exec producer, and we are glad to be coming to you on podcast, on YouTube, and on broadcast radio around.
Yeah, we're pretty
the
much
country.
everywhere.
So, yeah, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. So welcome to the show. One of the things we do here, if you're new to Smoking and Toasting, is that when we're on location, we'll actually light up a cigar and talk about it, but we can't smoke in the studio for obvious reasons. So Ian and I will both be reporting to you about something that we smoked earlier in the week, and I'm really curious to hear yours because I now know what cigar it's about, but tell everybody else.
By earlier in the week, you mean actually this morning?
This morning, yes, exactly.
And it's not a bad thing waking up on a Monday and going, oh, man, I have to smoke a cigar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, duty calls.
So I actually went, instead of going up to Casa like I usually do, I went to my humidor and pulled out one that I've been meaning to do a review on. I bought these Man-O-War side projects, and this is the Little Devil is the one it is. Ooh. Right, and I've been meaning to do. I bought a box of those, and I've been meaning to do a review on it. So here it goes. I finally got to it today. This is the Little Devil Corona, coming in at 5.5 inches by 44 ring gauge. This is blended and produced by.
Let me just venture a guess. No. I'm thinking AJ Fernandez.
That's it.
Yeah.
in Esteli, Nicaragua, with a sun-grown and extra fermented Habano wrapper, Mexican binder, and a Nicaraguan filler.
Nice.
The appearance on this milk chocolate brown wrapper, veiny and textured, oily, with
Looks
a pigtail
delicious.
cap and a closed foot. The Man-O-War band. It's got the regular classic Man-O-War band and then a smaller side project band on it that, it says side project and a Little Devil on it. The pre-light sniff on this, earthy and barnyard and sweet coffee. Pretty straightforward. I used a V-cut on this, had a medium draw to start with, but because it had that closed foot, once I lit it, the draw was excellent.
Nice.
I got on the pre-light draw, I got baking spices, I got sweet coffee, I got tea leaf, I got pepper, and it left a little bit of a tingle on my lips too.
Nice. But no Nicaraguan pepper blast?
The initial light on this.
Oh, okay. I'm jumping ahead and sealing my own fate.
MBB makes me feel fine. Okay.
You asked. You had to ask.
Yeah.
I saw that coming when you started asking.
You realize, Terry, that every week Ian looks either at his humidor or at the humidor at Casa, if he's at Casa, and he goes, I wonder which of these would have a Nicaraguan pepper blast when I light it so that I can torture Cruz with that song.
Yes. I also, when I say yes like that, I'm dry washing my hands. Yes.
Excellent.
Nicaraguan pepper blast with chocolate, oddly enough. Little chicory coffee lingers after each puff. Retrohale is pepper and toast. The first third of this earthy and nutty with sweet coffee and a healthy dose of pepper. A kiss of campfire and cayenne linger in the aftertaste. Retrohale is peppery and woody with a touch of sweetness. Flaky ash. Beware of the flaky ash. Perfect burn. The second third of this, some notes begin to define themselves. The woody notes become oaky. The pepper becomes a blend of black pepper, cayenne, and chicory. Earthy notes become rich volcanic soil. And a hint of chocolate and coffee remains consistent throughout this cigar. The Retrohale is sweet and oaky with black pepper, flaky ash, perfect burn.
Nice.
The last third of this, full strength. This cigar, by the way, is full strength, like from the beginning all the way down. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Man-O-War
Full
has a
strength
tendency to be
with-
that, yeah.
And spicy with massive plumes of dense smoke, delivering a complex bouquet of flavors. The Retrohale is sweet and nutty with oak and pepper, flaky ash, perfect burn. Price to quality. When you buy a box of these, it's about $114. That brings it down to $5.70 per cigar. Solid 7. This thing is
7.
outrageously good.
Wow.
I
I
absolutely
can't
love
wait.
it.
Can't wait to smoke this. I'm
I
really
was so excited about it. I had to bring you one.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Interestingly enough, the cigar I'm going to talk about in the next segment is one that you gave me as well. So pretty exciting. We'll talk about it coming up. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Speaking of craft beer, we're going to be trying a watermelon blonde from...
It smells
and I can already
lovely.
smell the watermelon. Fantastic. Looking forward to that. While Ian's pouring those and passing them around, let me tell you about the cigar that I smoked this week that I want to bring to your attention. My good friend Ian gifted me this
That guy's
cigar.
crazy.
It is the EP Carrillo Encore Black Robusto.
Ooh.
Now,
I must like you.
I've been asking Ian for one of those Monte Cristos that we mentioned last week that's $150, and this wasn't that. But it still seems like a pretty strong gift. So I thought I'd smoke it and talk about it on the show today.
It's a power move.
The wrapper is a Connecticut. I think it was a move designed to block me from continuing to ask you for the
A little bit of jazz
$150
hands
Monte
there, like
Cristo.
a little distracting.
Look this way. The wrapper's a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro. It's draped around a Mexican San Andres binder, and it uses Nicaraguan filler from Condega, Esteli, and Jalapa. It is a limited release. Only 5,000 boxes of this were made, like an initial 2,000 and then a second wave of 3,000, and then that's it. So EP Carrillo Encore Black Robusto. And let me just say, first of all, EP Carrillo, love their cigars in general.
I've never had an
This is a
EPC
wonderful
that I
cigar
didn't
company.
love.
So I was very excited about this one. The Encore Black Robusto is a very pretty cigar. It's box pressed with a dark brownish black wrapper with hints of red in it. The lower half of the cigar is completely covered by a dark black band, so once you slip that off, then I could see the wrapper a little better and do some pre-light sniffing. It was deep, mature tobacco notes that were prominent, although I did pick up a trace of yeasty bread on the cold draw. I also did notice the Encore Black seemed very tightly packed, and I was worried about the draw. But once I punched it, no worries at all. It drew like a dream. So it wasn't something I had to use a cigar tool on at all. But it was very densely packed. I lit the end, took the first puffs, expecting that Ian would have yet another chance to play that godforsaken Nicaraguan pepper blast song, but a blast is not what I got. It started off very gently with earthy notes and the aroma of aged tobacco in the first third. I really was expecting.
Gentle, like a morning in the mountains. When you wake up early, just to see the sunrise.
I'm okay with all of that. Just no blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Okay? Anyway, did not get a blast. It started off very gently. Earthy notes, aroma of aged tobacco in the first third. Now, pepper did make its way into the flavor profile about a half an inch in, mostly on the finish and in the retrohale. For the first third, very good, but not overwhelming. You know, it wasn't like this big, huge pepper bomb. By the time I hit the second third, though, the pepper had picked up a little bit. But the Encore Black had also begun to exhibit a creamy note, which kept the pepper from becoming more powerful. Now, Ernesto Perez Carrillo has made a point about the Encore Black being a cigar where they really wanted to let the qualities of the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper shine. And I feel like they definitely accomplished that. There was a significant ramp up in the pepper notes in the final third. And honestly, if it had been that prominent from the get-go, Ian would have gotten to torture me with that song. Pepper, earth, a slight coffee bean note, and oak were the things I managed to identify in the final third. Overall, a very enjoyable smoke, although I don't know that I would say that it's better than the normal Encore or the La Historia from EPC. The construction, by the way, was quite good. No relights were needed. The ash held on longer than I expected, and the burn line was a little wavy, but never needed a touch-up. Overall, a very good cigar, a Robusto. But it's a $17 stick.
Yeah.
$17 Robusto. So here's the part where the cheapnik in me kind of comes out, right? The La Historia Robusto is about $13, and the Pledge, also from EP Carrillo, is about $14. This one's $17. It's not a huge difference, but to my palate, at least, those two that I mentioned are every bit as good, if not better. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you want to try the Encore Black, but given that it's a few dollars more, I'd say price to quality for me hits at about a 4.5.
Okay.
But still great. And Ian, of course, gave me this one. So price to quality on this particular stick would be 11. Thank you, Ian. So, yeah, if somebody gives you one of these, thank them and smoke it. But yeah, I just say, I smoked a La Historia about a month ago and was well, it was like first time in a long time, and was blown away by how great
how
a
good
cigar
they are.
that is. And this one, while very good, did not strike me as incrementally better than that. So that's the reason I didn't go quite for the full 5. On price to
So
quality.
it's interesting because Alan Denny, we know that guy.
Sure.
He's been on the show quite a few times.
Nobody cares about that guy, but we do know
Nobody
him.
cares about him. But Alan Denny said this is one of the best cigars he's had.
Now that's interesting. I guess I will have to smoke another one because it was so good, but it never blew me away. You know what I mean? And the La Historia kind of blew me away at a few dollars less.
So I don't think in my mind when I smoked, I've only smoked one of those. I have a few more in my humidor.
Well, you should totally smoke one and review it on the show to see if maybe I just.
Maybe that'll be.
Some days your palate may not be up for. You know what I mean? Like there could be a lot of different reasons why you didn't. You didn't enjoy it as much as you thought you would.
But I remember when I did smoke the one that I've smoked so far, which I didn't do as a review. I just had it. I thought it was an outrageously good cigar.
No, okay. Well,
So-
let's try
But
it
then again, I love everything EPC does.
Yeah, well, see, I do too, and it's not like I disliked this. I did like it very much, but just in case I was off again, if you want to give me another one, I will go back and revisit and talk about it.
I see how that works.
See how that works. Yeah, exactly.
Also, if you want to give him, any other one.
Right, if you want to give me any other
it's
cigar, and
fine.
I'm very excited about this Man of War that you gave me. That's
Man, that thing, I so thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd love to see a review of you doing that.
Yeah.
So why don't we swap reviews? And it won't be for next week because next week we're going to be on location.
That's right. So we'll be smoking something there.
Next week will be a
so
vinyl
talk a little
draft.
bit about we'll talk a little bit about next week's show because we have a special guest coming.
Teasing next, we're going to have Tony Barrios in from Stallone Cigars.
That's very cool. We've talked about Stallone cigars before. I've reviewed a Stallone cigar.
Yes, now
which I thought
Stallone
was
cigars
very
aren't
good.
everywhere, but over at Cigar Town here in Houston area, they have them, and I've picked up a few, and I have been absolutely loved them. So.
Will I horrify you if the first thing I ask him is, "Can I meet Sly?" Oh, by the way, it doesn't
Can't
have anything to
take
do
you
with Sylvester
anywhere.
Stallone, does it?
No.
Okay, well, that's okay as long as it doesn't have anything to do with Frank Stallone, his brother.
Oh man,
Because-
the best man in the world. What are you talking about?
Oh no, not
Do you remember the Frank Stallone song from
What's that
South
song?
Park.
Far From Over?
Oh,
was the,
that-
Far From Over.
But Frank Stallone, they did do a thing on Frank Stallone in South Park, didn't they?
He was supposed to sing "Loving You," and the donkey was supposed to explode,
That's
and he never
right.
could hit that. Well, he never can hit that high note. Yeah.
That's so great. But why Frank Stallone? Why, of all the people that could have landed on, why him?
Because it was hilarious. Because Frank Stallone.
Because Frank Stallone.
Because
Yeah.
Frank Stallone.
See, these are the
What movie was that from that he had the soundtrack on?
was it Over the Top?
Something like that.
That sounds right.
Over the Top was like one of those movies that came out. Like, remember when Top Gun came out and it was really successful? So everybody released these very. I think Over the Top was more of a boxing movie, but
No,
everybody
Over the
released these
Top
big-
was arm wrestling.
was arm wrestling.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Save me, darling. I am down, but I am far
Delving
from
into
over.
the deep, dark world
Of
the
arm
underground
Wrestling.
of arm wrestling, yes.
That's so
This is how you know that Hollywood has officially run out of ideas. Everything's either a remake or it's a movie about arm wrestling.
That is jumping the shark, my friends,
Indeed, it is.
to use Hollywood's
I'm
own.
going
Far
to
from
guess.
over.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that this beer does not jump the shark.
No,
I
this
haven't
beer is
tasted it
actually
yet.
delightful.
It already
Yeah.
smells so great.
It's watermelon squeeze. It's from our very respected Fort Worth, Texas brewery called Martin House Brewing. You've actually been to Martin House, haven't you?
I have. This was years ago, though, before they started doing all the crazy stuff, and they were great then. Some of my favorite beer glasses I have at the house are the can-shaped glasses,
Yeah.
and they're Martin House glasses that we picked up then. They were outrageous. I love their stuff. This is delicious.
Mhm.
It's a little bit tart,
I'd say it's delightful.
A little bit tart.
but this is so crushable.
And
Yes.
now this may sound crazy, but when I eat watermelon, which I really enjoy, I really like to put a lot of salt on it because that just accents the watermelon to me. I find myself wanting to put some salt in
Salt.
this because that's how watermelon-y it actually
It's
is.
legit.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
legit.
this is not watermelon flavored. This tastes like watermelon.
Only on the finish do I get this slight reminder of a watermelon Jolly Rancher. The drink itself, when it first hits
I think
your
that's
palate,
because it's tart from the beer a little bit.
When you first hit your palate, though, it's like a slice of watermelon.
The watermelon squeeze is what it's called. Watermelon blonde on the back of this. If you look at the piece of watermelon, it has a very SpongeBobian sort of face on it,
I like that.
looking a little terrified because it's being squeezed.
Yeah. I'm liking it though. This is really good, and it comes just at the right time.
I mean,
because
this picture
we're
raises
getting
a
into
few
the
questions.
heat
When
of
did
summer.
watermelon get teeth?
Right.
And why is he missing one if he's going to have teeth?
So, what's your stance on seedless watermelon?
I like watermelon no matter what.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
You're
And I
okay
don't put
spitting
salt
the
on it. I
seeds.
just like it straight up.
Oh,
And I
man.
like it when you get them and they're just a little less sweet.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I agree. But you got to try it with a little salt, dude. That is.
Oh, I've tried it with a little salt.
okay.
That's good.
Just not my bag, baby.
Oh man, there's some things that just are best with salt. One of them is watermelon, and one is edamame.
Oh.
If you do edamame like in the microwave, you can get it, in the bags at the freezer section at the store. Put it in the microwave for like 3 minutes. Pull it out, dump it in a bowl, salt it, and then toss the bowl like the chefs do on the chef shows. Salt it again, toss the bowl, salt it again. You get a lot of salt in there, and those things are to die
Edamame
for.
is so good.
To die for. But I digress. This is a wonderful beer.
Excellent.
Now,
Can you imagine
Very
this with that edamame that's very salty?
man, that would be so good together.
Oh yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many like dinners that would like tacos. It would go good with anything like that. Summertime.
This is so crushable. This might be one of their more outrageous beers that's crushable like this.
Agreed, because a lot of their outrageous stuff is either very sour or it's bigger in some way. And I've got another beer of theirs at home that I've been kind of holding on to. When I bring it in, would be the big beer of that show, because it's one of the ones where there's 2 cans in the tall box, and I just really love these guys. And when I saw this, I thought we got to try this now that it's summer.
Oh, it's
this is
delicious.
The perfect time.
If you're anywhere, I don't know how far Martin House distributes. I think maybe up Oklahoma, maybe just Texas. But if you happen to see this, buy it. This is outrageously good.
So speaking of Texas breweries, allow us to talk about our home base here for just a moment. I have some extremely sad news to share with you. Klaus Brewery is closing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They've been trying to sell it for a while.
Yeah. And basically, I don't know what the full story is, but the Houston Chronicle reported that yet another Houston brewery bites the dust. And it's the latest shuttering, they say, due to a tough year for the full industry. Now, Klaus Brewing was kind of unique as a brewery in our area, because even though they ultimately did an IPA, their real focus was on German style,
Right.
authentic German style beers, and they did them very, very well.
Very, very good.
Yeah, they really did. So I was actually going to bring one in and have it be the beverage of mystery for today, and then tell you the story. But I just thought that would just be too sad of a segment
that would make
for
me
us to
cry.
rave about how great the beverage of mystery was, and then
I've been to their brewery. It was a nice place. They had great beers on tap.
yeah. Now
Their Doppelbock is so good.
yeah. Now there's another major Texas brewery closing, and it's in the Dallas area. It's Deep Ellum Brewery, has shuttered now on St. Louis Street, but Monster Energy drink remains on the lease. In other words, it was bought by the beverage giant that makes Monster Energy drink,
Right.
and they are shutting down Deep Ellum Brewery so they can make Monster Energy drink there.
Oh. Do you think they'll make like an alcoholic?
No,
I thought they already is.
I think they're just
alcoholic
looking for the
monster.
facility so that they can do that. I don't know if there is or not.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think they're. I don't know.
But I know that I will now never buy another Monster Energy drink. Not that I bought a lot of them. That's energy drinks not really my thing, because I think they taste awful. But
I don't remember Monster that much off the top of my head, but I've tried Rockstar, and that stuff's not good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Red Bull fan either. I know a lot of people like Red Bull even as a mixer with different alcohol.
Red Bull and vodka.
Yeah.
That'll get you moving over the night. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
That'll get you.
it's like being a
don't
wide awake zombie. It's nice.
I don't understand it though, because the Red Bull is like super upper caffeine stuff, and then the vodka like mellows you out. It's like, don't they war against each other?
Feel like
in
a
that
wide awake
situation?
drunk dude.
Great, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I want to
exactly.
feel. Wide awake and drunk. Yeah. One of the good things about being drunk is that I'm really sleepy. I'm going to sleep this off.
It's just, yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'm telling you. But
It
anyway.
has a self-sealing plot. Like eventually, you're just
Yeah.
going to go to sleep.
Yeah. But anyway, the company has closed Deep Ellum's tap room and brew house. While our hearts are heavy with this news today, they say, our love for Deep Ellum will always run deep. 2 decades ago, they were the first craft brewery to open in Dallas proper, on property that used to house a paper company on St. Louis Street. So our sayonara to both Klaus Brewing and Deep Ellum, and things are not looking downward everywhere in the craft beer industry, though. So we'll talk about a little bit of that coming up. It's Smoking and Toasting. Thanks for joining us.
Now that you made me sad, you have to pick me back up.
It will happen, sir. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I have to tell you, I'm really jonesing to smoke this cigar. Like, I find myself going, why couldn't we have been on location today? That would have been awesome. We will be on location next week, though, out at Final Draft down by the ocean. And we'll be looking forward to that. I really enjoyed our visit there the last time we were there.
Final Draft is such a cool place, and we need to go by there for dinner.
Yeah, we really do. It's a bit of a drive from where we are, but would be worthwhile. Have dinner, have a cigar.
The trick there is you got to do it on a night when it's not like Friday and Saturday get so busy in Kima.
Yeah.
And getting to Kima is not a big deal.
Right.
Okay. It's getting back out of Kima when everything's closing.
100%, yes.
It can be terrifying. But if we did it on a weeknight,
Yeah.
they'll be inherently less busy.
Mm-hmm.
So they can pay way more attention to us.
Yeah, and we can go upstairs and maybe.
And it's a
cigar or
steakhouse.
something.
It's an outrageously good steakhouse. And then you go upstairs and you can have a cigar.
I gotta
They have cigars for sale on
let's
premises.
Let's plan that, but let's plan first to go do another show there next week because that'll be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. While Ian has poured our next beer, we'll be getting to that in a moment. But first, it's time for one of the newest features on Smoking and Toasting.
And now it's time for another Smoking and Toasting Drinking Fact.
Okay, the fanfare is totally awesome.
That was freaking amazing.
That's totally awesome. So drinking facts are actually true facts that we've discovered or stumbled across about drinking. And here we go. I told you in the teaser, beer goggles are a real thing. There is scientific research. I told you we were going to lay some science
They
on you.
science this stuff.
There is scientific research to suggest why people appear more attractive to you when you're drunk. Apparently, being intoxicated causes the brain to lose its ability to recognize facial asymmetry. So if you've ever had the experience of waking up the next morning and go, "Ooh, butter face,"
Or him.
yeah, but that could be where it came from your drunken inability to recognize facial asymmetry. You're like, well, the rest looks pretty good, but the facial thing, I just can't. Facial looks fine. Come on. I'm just saying.
This is something that I guess nature has given us over the years as the beer
right.
goggles.
Beer
That's
goggles
what it
are
is.
a
It's
gift,
natural.
a gift from nature. We've
these are real.
evolved beer goggles, if you will. So
It's all part of the process.
that's exactly right. I know. Right about now, one of the stations that took us on in the broadcast, they're going, "Why did we sign up for this show?"
I want to hear the guy that narrates Blue Planet explain that.
Oh, Richard Attenborough.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
He
yes.
is awesome.
Beer goggles.
Beer goggles. This particular strain of salamander suffers from the intense application of beer goggles.
I mean,
it's not a good impression, but
It's fun.
at least it's fun. That's right. And I won't lay any more impressions on you for the rest of the show.
What about when
That's a
you look at a menu with beer goggles though, and you're like, I want everything.
Well, yeah, that's a thing as well. That's a thing as
You
well.
know.
I think those are more like beer spectacles, like beer readers.
Beer
Like you put them on,
spectacle beer
you put them on like the peepers or whatever you call them. You put them on in order to read the menu. You're like, oh my god, I want everything.
Right?
I want
You
the.
just spent $36 at Jack in the Box.
I was just about to say, I want the 2 tacos for $1.29 and the onion rings.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's what I'm getting after the show. Just so you know.
No, you could get the Ice Cube thing.
Yeah,
he has a new
true.
special.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Or you could go to Trill Burger, Bun B.
yeah.
All right, so
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, Trill Burger is pretty
yeah,
good.
it's pretty
I
good
still
stuff.
haven't tried it. I want to.
It's pretty good.
I keep waiting for the line to die down, and so far, every time I've driven by, I'm like, oh, not
Well,
today.
you know, on Wednesdays I work right next there because I do lessons upstairs at Rock and Robin,
Okay.
which is the music store right next to Trill Burger, and so I can peep around the corner if my lunch break is at the right time. I can peep around and be like, oh, there's no line. So I've gone in there twice
that's
and
when you wanna
with
go.
almost no line,
That's when you want to go. That's when you want to go.
and it's a
If I
pretty
s-
darn good burger, man.
If I stand in line for more than about 7 or 8 minutes, there needs to be a roller coaster at the end of it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
But then
saying.
you got to do the stairs one at a time, right?
Yeah. Or maybe a really, really good beer. Like,
Speaking of which,
yeah. So
you know, you
let's
think,
talk about it.
okay, so for those of you who don't know how good Ghost in the Machine is, this is a beer that comes from Parish, Louisiana. From Parish Brewing in Louisiana. And it's one of the best IPAs that exists, okay?
100%.
And how can you make
And
it
this is
better?
coming from both a guy who's not really an IPA guy.
Oh, yeah,
you,
no, it's
and
on
me,
the
I
list
am
of
an
the most
IPA
amazing
guy.
IPAs that exist.
And we both feel that way.
And that list includes the
Lone Pint Yellow Rose.
the Lone Pint, the Bells, Two Hearted Ale,
Oh, my.
there's so many good. This
This
thing
is amazing.
First off, can I just tell you, on the nose, it was everything you would want.
Yes.
And then you taste it.
oh,
this
my
thing
God.
is crazy good.
Yeah.
Like, what have they done? They took something that was amazing and made it a more
So-
amazinger.
I actually really, as an
I may have
IPA
invented that word.
person, more amazinger. Yes.
More amazinger.
As a person who loves IPAs, and I really love hazies, I am a big fan of most double dry hopped or even single dry hopped IPAs. There's something about the dry hopping process that brings out the hazy and fruitiness a little bit, tamps down the bitter. I'm not a brewer, so I'm not speaking in scientific brewing terms. I'm just saying, as a consumer, that's something that I seem to have noticed, and I do have a lot of IPAs.
This has a level of like pine sap. Kind of astringency to it right at the tail end, but then it finishes without it.
Yeah, it finishes with
It's
juice.
crazy. I've never had one that finished like that. It leaves my mouth just watering. I'm probably spitting on my mic right here.
And I was reading an article this week about how it was the hazy and juicy IPAs that basically, if you rewind about 2 years ago, West Coast IPAs were all the thing, and it was very much more hoppy and piney, and the hazies and juicies and all of the double dry hopping or dry hopping that's been happening has really kind of moved the needle on what is most popular for IPAs. And now there are far fewer West Coast IPAs hanging around than there used to be.
I'm kind of okay with that. I like a classic West Coast IPA if it's done right, and that's the trick. Is it's not always done right in the hop wars. Like we all suffered.
Is it Ben's house that the guys at equal parts, the astronaut guys? Equal parts. Am I getting the brewery right? I'm confusing my breweries.
Yes. No, I think that's it.
Yeah. So they have the Ben's House, which is their West Coast IPA.
Yes.
That is a damn fine West Coast
It's
IPA.
very classic. It's very balanced, and it's hard to do that. I guess we're getting close to the end.
This is Terry's way of telling us it's time. It's time. Wrap it up, boys. So I'm afraid I got the brewery name wrong. Did I get the brewery name wrong? I don't know. I've been
it's
drinking
either
double dry
bad
hop.
it's either Bad Astronaut or True Anomaly.
It's not Bad Astronaut. It's True Anomaly.
What did you
Thank
say?
you. I said equal parts.
Oh no, True Anomaly.
Yeah,
Sorry,
True Anomaly
So
is
they're
right. So I
actually
knew I
in
had
the
it
same.
wrong.
They're actually kind of in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, they are. But the guys, and we've had the True Anomaly guys on the show a number of times. All their
So
beers
good.
are fantastic.
So super nice.
But if you want a great West Coast IPA, get the Ben's House. It's good. All right, we got to take a break, as Terry so rudely reminded us moments ago, and we will be right back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. Ooh, that was really pronounced.
That was a good pop.
that.
That was
Yeah.
really hard to get out of
You
there.
see it right here on the readout. It was great.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And just for the craft beer portion of that, let me tell you how outstandingly good this double dry hop Ghost in the Machine is. I'm telling you, this is serious stuff. It's really, really good.
Yeah, that's pretty outrageous.
So while Ian is pouring tequila, let's talk about whiskey. Food and Wine, which is really a very respectable website. I enjoy reading stuff on there. They have great stuff about liquor and mixed drinks and other things like that. They recently released an article which is about the top 5 sipping whiskeys that you can actually afford. And so I thought, well, this would be a fun thing to talk about on the show. And then when I got into the article, I realized we'll still talk about it. But the number 5 on the list is a $75 bottle. Now, I don't know about you, because I'm a cheap ass, right? And I'll demonstrate how cheap I am. I was going to go on and on about this tequila we're going to try being $86 for that bottle. That's more
That's
than
an
I.
expensive
That's
tequila.
more than I like to pay for a bottle of tequila. Even though my 2 favorites, which is the Reserva de la Familia from Jose Cuervo and the Skelly Anejo, are both more expensive than that. But at least with those, I know what I'm getting. So it's really tough for me to lay down, $86 for a tequila
Yeah, you're allowed to have that.
I've never tried before.
Yeah, that's
right?
a difference. If you already know,
Right,
if you're
sure.
in there, but
you know where you're going. So
not knowing.
So we'll get to whether or not this is worth it here momentarily. But let me give you these whiskeys real quick. At number 5 on their list, they list Nika Coffee Grain Whiskey. That's NIKKA COFFEY grain whiskey. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I've had this. I've had this before. It's not cheap.
It's $75.
Yeah, I was
So
going to say it's not cheap.
It's a Japanese whiskey, and Japanese whiskeys have a tendency to be a little pricey. But
Japanese put out whiskey though. They put out excellent whiskey.
Yeah, they really do.
I don't know that I've ever had a bad Japanese whiskey.
they say that Japanese whiskeys
And I'm sure it exists, but they probably just don't send it here.
They say Japanese whiskey prices have really rocketed. So maybe that's why this $75 bottle is one that they say is, it's one of the ones you can actually afford. Because they talk about...
I kind of remember when they came out with the Nika Coffee whiskey, it being in the 55-ish
that makes
dollar
sense.
range, something like
They
that.
talk about how Yamazaki 18 was a steal back in 2012 at about $130. Do you know it runs $1,000 a bottle now?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
That's crazy.
My friend Dave Cash sent me a text, some time ago, but he sent me a text like, "Hey, I'm really starting to enjoy Japanese whiskeys. Can you name any?" So I named him off a couple, and he's like, "Yeah, those are a little pricey," and they really are. But $1,000 bottle for something that used to be $130, that's a little nuts. At number 4 on their list, Highland Park's 12-year-old Viking Honor, a $60 bottle. Are you familiar at all, Ian?
I don't know the Viking Honor. No, Highland Park makes great scotch.
Highland Park isn't Highland Park the house brand for Costco? Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm thinking Kirkland.
That's Kirkland.
Oh, yeah, Kirkland, yeah.
Highland Park. No, this is a Scotch whiskey, and it is the ultimate sipping dram. They say for those not as familiar with the category or intimidated by smoke, Highland Park is a fantastic entry point. They say the peat influence is lighter, floral, and more aromatic than many of the flavors that you get from the more peated Scotch whiskeys.
When I think Highland Park, there's some peat in there, but I always think a lot of leather as well, leather and classic tobacco notes going on in the Highland Park.
I like that.
It's a great whiskey.
Westward American Single Malt comes in at number 3 on the list. It is a $60 bottle.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it looks very interesting
That's a cool
looking
looking
bottle.
bottle, though.
They're from Portland, Oregon, and they say they are a pioneer in the American single malt category. So you might look for that. I will look for that. I know you've heard of number 2. It's a $41 bottle, which makes it the least expensive Whistle Pig whiskey ever. It's Whistle Pig's Piggyback Rye.
100% buy that.
And that is a wonderful
It's
whiskey.
a great rye.
And if you can find it for $41, grab it. Because I think I've seen it, but I've seen it more than that.
Whistle Pig doesn't put their name on anything that isn't fantastic.
Yeah, 100% true.
I mean, if you have a name like Whistle Pig.
Yeah, right. And then at number 1, the Fry Ranch Straight Bourbon. And I pronounce it Fry because that's the way the late, great Glenn Fry of the Eagles pronounced his name. But it's spelled the same, F-R-E-Y. If it's Frey, I'm sorry, I'm sticking with Glenn. It's Fry. Fry Straight Bourbon. It's a $45 bottle. So interestingly enough, of all of the whiskeys on their list for great sipping whiskeys that you can actually afford, the cheapest one came in at number 1.
Let me can I give you a little bit of a list here?
Sure, please do.
Let's talk about like getting in at the $20 to $30 range.
All right.
So first off, outrageously good whiskey, and I know you people out there are going to be like, no, Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
I truly believe if you take a sip and put a little water in it, put a little ice in it, take a sip of Wild Turkey. It is what bourbon tastes like, and it's outrageously good.
And at what price point?
And just Wild Turkey, just $20 for
that's what
a bottle. That's about it. And I'm going to leave off Weller. Weller's an obvious one, but it's a little harder to find. So let's go with something you can always find. That Jim Beam Age 7 that we had last week, $23 a bottle.
That was a wonderful whiskey.
Fantastic.
Wonderful whiskey.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Let's go into a 50, not quite $60 range. Glenmorangie La Santa.
Yep.
That is their sherry cask finish Glenmorangie. It's amazing. Or even Glenmorangie number 10.
Yeah.
And to me, Glenmorangie number 10 is what that's what this.
And that's in the 40
Scotch
to
is
50
supposed
range,
to.
right?
Yeah, it was like 44, 45
And
for
so
that
good.
one.
Yeah. Well, I would throw in Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace, 100%.
Yeah, and I would also throw in Slain Irish Whiskey.
Slain Irish Whiskey is pretty darn good.
Yeah, those are
even
great
that
ones.
special edition, which is even more gooderer.
And it's only about.
See how I'm abusing the language.
It's only about between 40 and 50, I think.
No, it's not. It's 35.
It's 35. Wow.
Yeah, maybe 36 or
but
38
even the regular
now,
Slain, which is like $28, is amazing.
Outrageously good, yes.
Yeah. So those are our lists, which I think are a little more you can actually afford than the list from
I almost think we
Woodlawn.
learned a little more from the blind whiskey tasting of everything being $15 or less.
Oh, the bottom shelf whiskey.
Yeah, than that. I mean,
yeah.
that was a good list, but you're right. I don't know that they were all exactly affordable. So yeah,
I want to do that with Blanco tequila. Like
that would
no
be fun,
aging, just Blanco tequila, and do a blind taste test and see what comes out the best. That means I got to go buy a lot of tequila.
Oh, we're gonna have to get a tequila expert in on this one.
Wonder who we could tap for that. What I love about when we have Liliana, our tequila expert, on with us, is she's so hardcore, right? Oh. She's like looks at us tasting the beers and she goes, I wouldn't be tasting the beers if you're going to do a blind tequila taste test. She's
change
serious.
your palate.
She's serious.
Really is.
Yeah,
She really is.
But we love her and would have her on the show anytime. And maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a Blanco.
That sounds like a blast to put together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does. But we'll be tasting some Anejo tequila here now because this is the Don Fulano Tequila Anejo, and it comes in a very tall bottle with a round topper. And
yes, this is the bottle that won't quite fit on your shelf.
I will tell you, on the nose, I do get pepper right
Lots
away.
of pepper on the nose.
Pepper
yes,
and pepper and agave right on the nose.
Lots
and
of
I'm
pepper
really
and agave. There's an
expecting.
underlying sweetness on the nose too that's really nice.
So I'm kind of expecting more of a mellower, like less pepper, a little more of the mellow sort of vanilla and maple notes, but I don't know if that's what it's going to give me.
This is sweet and delicious, and
Sweet
the pepper.
in what way?
It's sweet. It's right up front sweet, agave sweet. Not any kind of artificially kind of sweet, but right up front agave sweet. The pepper is interesting because it smells so pepper on the nose, like you'd think it was very pepper forward, but actually the pepper hits right before the finish, right before you swallow, right before the finish, bam, and then it's gone.
Yeah, when you say it's agave sweet, it reminds me of a cocktail that uses agave syrup as its sweetener instead of like a simple syrup or sugar or something else for the sweetener.
It's
got
that kind of agave syrup, kind of sweet.
It's delicious, though.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is the kind of thing you sit around and sip after you just had fajitas or...
Right.
Fajitas sound so good.
Oh, they really do. I'm so hungry today.
I should eat before the show. But anyway, like after you just had like an awesome dinner and you're sitting around just hanging out, and this would go with any cigar.
I was going to say, is there a cigar it wouldn't go with? I'm not sure if there is.
I mean, you'd have to go pretty hardcore cigar to even interrupt this flavor. So I think almost any, because I feel like this would go with even a light cigar.
So I'm getting the notes of like the vanilla and what I really kind of look for and hope for in tequilas, especially more expensive ones. I am getting them in there, but the pepper and agave are balanced in this one differently than like a Reserva de la Familia
also
or a Skelly.
Fruity note to this.
Well, now Skelly has a little bit of that fruity note.
It's got a little fruity, almost a tropical fruity kind of note to it. It's really interesting. It's a little more apparent after the finish and then with the retrohale. And then once you know it's there, you can taste it on the front end.
Yeah, I get a little of that mango or maybe like...
Yeah, it's a tropical fruity thing, yeah.
But I think you're right. This makes me want to like pour a little more, sit back in a really big overstuffed chair, ruminate about the secrets of the universe.
The pepper on this is so interesting. It kind of just comes and goes when it wants to. It's
really
like, here
it
I am,
does.
then I'm gone.
So all right, it's $86 a bottle. Is it worth it?
This is a pretty darn good tequila.
Yeah, I mean, like even for me, that's really a good.
$86 is expensive. At $86, I'm looking at Skelly for $15 more. But this is pretty darn good. Like this is a happy thing for the shelf.
Yeah.
The label on this is actually pretty nice too. I like the simple it
is very straightforward.
The
and simple,
agave
yes.
in the hand illustration.
You know what they say? Agave in the hand is worth two in the bush.
That's right.
Or something like that. I'm not even sure if I.
The bottle's real pretty.
Yeah, it is nice. I love the round stopper too. I think that's very cool. But I dig it. I think it's good. It wasn't. So I was expecting.
You bought this bottle. How do you feel about it for $86?
It's interesting because, and I had sampled some of this before we came in, because when I was clearing the neck of the bottle, as I often do for safety and non-spillage purposes,
yes,
some of it actually splashed into a glass that I had sitting on my counter at home.
Okay.
So I thought, well, if it's in the glass, I might as well sample this. So I had actually sampled this before.
That's kind of like when you're eating a taco and you have an empty taco shell underneath your taco.
Right. It's very much like that.
Good. That's smart. Like you're thinking ahead.
Yeah. Or it's like when I put a pizza in the oven and I put the pizza pan beneath it. So anything that drops off of the pizza while it's cooking, I can later come back and like scoop up into a little piece of bread. There's a little piece of sausage there. Yes. To answer your question, I like it. I probably like it more upon this second tasting than I did the first time. My initial reaction was I was a little disappointed at the price point. Not that I didn't think it was good, but I was a little disappointed at the price point. But now coming back to it and sipping it here and just really contemplating it, I think, I might buy this again.
It's complex. It's got some interesting flavors, and then I love how the flavors are delivered, because the real difference between this and a lot of other tequilas is how the flavors are delivered. It's not hitting you in the face with anything. It's got this kind of ride. You take a sip, and it starts doing.
And when you talk about the pepper, it doesn't deliver that pepper like, let's say, a Salsa Anejo would do, which is very peppery. It's
very
good,
peppery up front,
but it is all about the pepper. This is about pepper, but it's about more than pepper, and that's where I'll leave off. Other than to say, maybe pour me a little more of that there, my friend. All right, we got to take a break. Smoking and Toasting will return. Drinking news is still ahead of us, and we still have more to talk about on the show, including some cigars to watch for next. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer fine spirits and hand-rolled cigars. And speaking of craft beer and fine spirits, we just tasted the Don Fulano Anejo Tequila. And prior to that, we tasted the Ghost in the Machine double dry hopped version from Parish Brewing. And I'd just like to point out that these two actually kind of complement each other. And I was not expecting that because, a fairly big IPA and a tequila usually aren't the best side by
they'd
side.
fight a little bit, right?
Yeah, you would think so. But
Selected mature agave, proprietary yeast, well water, and 100% natural, aged in French oak casks. That's where I think that fruity note.
So when I go from the tequila back to the Ghost in the Machine, the mango is really prominent and it's really, really kind of to the forefront. And then when you go from that back to the Ghost in the Machine, you start picking up back to the tequila. You start picking up a little bit of tropical flavors in the tequila.
Well, it also brings the pepper a little up front as well, and then more of the tropical flavors pop out. So it's really, really interesting.
Generally speaking, I like tropical flavors. Like that's always a sort of a sweet spot for me.
The more I'm drinking this tequila, the more I'm loving it.
Yeah, it is really quite good. Well, while you continue to love the tequila, I'll tell you about a few cigars to watch for. To celebrate their 5th anniversary as a company, Viva la Vida Cigars is releasing a 5th anniversary special cigar. Now, I know that when you hear the words Viva la Vida, you may immediately think of a Coldplay song, and that's okay. But what I want you to think of instead when you hear me say the words Viva la Vida is Artisano del Tobacco, because they worked to make this cigar with the dude named AJ Fernandez, who does get mentioned occasionally here on the show. But anyway, not only did he make the original cigars the company released, but he's also made the special modified version of the Viva la Vida. The internal blend is the same, Nicaraguan tobaccos aged for at least 3 years, but the Habano Oscuro wrapper that's found on the regular Viva la Vida is replaced here by a Habano seed wrapper grown in Connecticut. So I have smoked one of the regular Viva la Vidas, so I will be looking for this and really excited about trying it because, AJ. 3 years ago, Altadas dusted off its sleepy San Luis Rey line, and they released a new blend, kind of injecting some life into the whole thing. It was the Carenas blend, Carenas, the Carenas blend. And now a new version is shipping to retailers, and the tobacco in this blend is even older than the original. San Luis Rey Carenas Ultramar is the name of it. It's made in Honduras, and it uses an extra aged blend of tobaccos. And if you were with us on last week's show, I said, I see Honduras as the big growth area in the future of cigars. Nicaragua is probably going to remain the leader in non-Cuban.
Nicaragua's huge, yeah.
But I think the fastest growing is going to be Honduran because there's such an earthiness to Honduran tobacco.
It's a different type of earthiness. Like I even mentioned in my review earlier that I got that volcanic soil from that Nicaraguan filler in that cigar. When you get to a Honduran cigar, and Aladino is a great example of those. In general, the earthiness is a different kind of earthiness. It's more like a farm. Not
100%. Yeah. So to me, the Nicaraguan
farmhouse, but farm like
To me, the Nicaraguan earthiness is more like loamy and chocolatey to a certain extent, and the Honduran earthiness is more just like soil, like
dark, rich soil.
It's like it's got a certain like base quality to it. I love when we were at the Aladino Farms and Factory several years ago, Ian, when we got invited down. That was when I really grew to love Honduran tobacco, and there are a number of different companies that have releases with tobacco from all over. But if you single out their Honduran and check it out, you will not be disappointed. This is and I'm telling you, by the end of this year, Honduran tobacco is going to occupy a much larger place in at least the mindset of cigar aficionados everywhere. And I don't just mean those who are in the magazine.
Right.
All right. So we have to take a break. Drinking news is coming up. Plus, we still have a very interesting beer to taste. I don't know much about it, but I know it comes from Firestone Walker. And quite frankly, that may be all I need to
Don't
know.
know much,
Exactly. We'll be right back at Smoking and
but I
Toasting.
think I'll love you.
I do like that song. That's some good tequila. This is one of those things, and welcome back to Smoking and Toasting, by the way. This is one of those things that, and we have this on the show occasionally, the more you just sip it, the better and better it gets.
Yeah, you taste
100%.
a little more of the wood in it, the white
And so
wine.
now I will say I'm definitely not
almost kind of note to
definitely not feeling like I overpaid for the bottle. So that's good. And like I said, I don't lay out $86 for a bottle of tequila that often. When I do, 86 or more, it's going to be a Skelly or the Reserva de la Familia. But this may now be added to my list. This is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. All right, this takes us up to our segment, and I'm glad Ian refilled my drink here because it's never appropriate to have an empty glass when it's time for drinking news.
Drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. That was a lovely Brianna who sent me a nice Happy Father's Day tweet.
That's
on Father's
awesome.
Day, which just made me
I'm
feel
going to see them in 2
made me
weeks.
feel all good inside. Yeah. You guys are going to go to Guinness, aren't
We're
you?
going to go to the Guinness Open Gate Brewery and hang out there, and then they're up in D.C. So
Brianna, for those who don't know, that's Adam's wife. So
yeah, we're going to hang out with Adam and Brianna. They're going to come up to Baltimore and pick us up and show us around DC and everything like that. So we're going to have a good old time.
So this is going to be you and your wife and Adam and Brianna. So no drinking will take place.
No,
right?
no, I can't imagine.
Okay.
I can't even.
Good to know. Well, I want to do almost a disclaimer about today's drinking news because I really do not know how this one's going to go. It's going to be a bit darker than we normally do for drinking news. Because on this week's drinking news, and again, this may be the last time we ever do one like this. We'll see how it goes. But on this week's drinking news, we turn our attention to a subject that's not only a little bit difficult to joke about, but many people are quite uncomfortable talking about it at all.
Money?
Death.
Oh, death.
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, not everyone is uncomfortable talking about it. And some even like to speculate about how some ways to die are even more unfortunate than others. Presidential candidate Donald Trump spent quite some time at a recent campaign speech outlining a very unusual scenario where he would be on an electric-powered boat and the boat was sinking, and then he speculates that when the water covers the battery, he'd be electrocuted. But then he also posited that several yards away in the water was a shark. I'm not making any of this up.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
This was at a presidential campaign speech?
Mr. Trump very specifically stated that he would much rather be killed by electrocution than be eaten by the shark. Now, I'm not sure what any of this has to do with running for president, but he seemed to think it was important because this is not the first time that he's told this hypothetical story. Now, I think that I would choose electrocution over death by shark as well. Unless
That's a tough one.
Unless it would get me a cameo in the next installment of the most brilliant movie franchise of all time, Sharknado. But
I'm just going to point out, though, that I think I'd be the other side of it because you can't fight electrocution, but you can punch a shark.
That's
and
a
I'm
good
going
point.
down punching that thing in the throat.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Wow.
But even the options of
fighting chance.
being electrocuted or eaten by jaws are perhaps not as unfortunate as what happened to...
What if it's not Jaws? What if it's Jabberjaw instead? Like that death sucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd rather have Jaws, I think. Jabberjaw. No.
I still like the way he just described those ways of death and just vote Trump 2024 and
Right,
then just
right.
walked off the stage.
Again, you never know what you're going to get at a Trump rally. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that politically. I'm just saying that as an observer. You never know which way it's going to go. That's all I'm saying. But, even the options of being electrocuted or eaten by jaws are perhaps not as unfortunate as what happened to an Indonesian woman this past week.
I have nothing prepared for
I
that.
knew I was
wanted
going
to hear where you were going.
I knew I was going to throw you for that. Yeah.
I have nothing prepared for that
We'll
one.
just
sorry.
move on. According to news reports, a woman named Farida from the Kalimpang village in the South Sulawesi province in Indonesia went missing on Thursday night, and her husband, who is identified only as Noni, which sounds like one of those sounds like a euphemism for a sexual organ in one of those romance novels that women read. Anyway, the man who is identified only as Noni gathered residents of the village to try and find his missing wife. And they did. But what they found was shocking and horrifying. And I told you this was going to be a darker episode of Drinking News. 45-year-old Farida had been eaten alive by a massive reticulated python.
What?
Yep. According to village chief Suardi Rossi, Noni became concerned when the wife and mother of four did not return home that evening, and he said that he found her belongings, which made him suspicious. The villagers then searched the area, and they soon spotted a python that they described as having, quote, a large belly, end quote.
A little distended.
The villagers agreed to cut open the python's stomach, and then as soon as they did, Farina's body was found fully clothed inside the massive snake, which was reported to be at least 16 feet long.
But it chose
I
not
was
to
going to
eat
say,
her
how tiny
belongings.
was that woman, too?
Yeah. A distraught Noni expressed regret that he'd let his smaller wife go out on her own. He said, if I'd been with her that day, he said to Viral Press, the snake would not have dared to touch her. And I think we can all sympathize with how he feels, right?
That's terrifying.
Now, you're probably thinking, hey, Cruz, this is Drinking News. It's supposed to be funny, not a downer story about someone being eaten by a giant snake. Well, my friends, you are correct. And that is why this edition of Drinking News will be the first to delve, not so carefully, into the field of gallows humor. I'm not sure how funny it will be to some of you, but if you're like me, you tend to look for humor in any situation in which you can find it. You know, surveys have been done that examine the ways in which people hope to go when their time has come. Many hope to simply die peacefully in their sleep. Others would prefer to leave this mortal coil while performing something heroic, like saving a child from a burning building or stopping a bad guy from harming someone that they love. Still others have answered the survey, saying that if they could choose, they would expire just after having the greatest sex of their lives. And I say, hey, if you're going to go out in style, right? I mean, it would certainly give new meaning to
that old Richard Pryor skit talking about his daddy? He came and went at the same time.
See, you're on the same page as me because I said it would certainly give new meaning to the phrase, sorry to come and go. But while being eaten alive by a snake that can grow in sizes up to 32 feet in length and weigh up to 350 pounds is most certainly a terrible way to die, it may not, in fact, be the very worst.
I mean, that's a warrior's death, so you got to give her that. Mm-hmm. Eaten by a snake. I mean, come on.
But it may not be the very worst. And so, as an unwanted public service to you, the listener, the crack team at our Drinking News think tank has come up with, as you are probably already dreading, a list of ways to die that could be even more unfortunate than being eaten by a snake. And while I'm sure that there are those who would like to step in before I share this list, that would require lawyers and court filings, and it'd simply take much longer than it would take me to read it to you. And so, without fear of legal intervention, I now present to you another Drinking News Top 5 list. This would be the top 5 ways to die, even more unfortunate than being eaten by a python. Top 5 ways to die, even more unfortunate than being eaten by a python. Number 5, just before they put you under, you discover that the doctor that was assigned to do your brain surgery is Dr. Phil. Number 4, the antidote for the deadly rattlesnake bite on your leg is being delivered by a driver for DoorDash. Good luck getting that in time. Number 3,
And then he wants to beat on your door and be like, you didn't tip me enough.
Yeah. Right. Number 3, kidnappers have threatened to behead you unless Steven Seagal makes a good movie. Yeah, good luck with that. Number 2, the floodwaters are rising, and your only hope of safety is being allowed to shelter in Joel Osteen's church.
Oh, boy, good luck.
That's a real one, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
That's for
That's
real.
what I'm
Yep,
saying.
yep. And the number one way to die that is more unfortunate than getting swallowed by a python. Number one, you're trapped in a stuck elevator with a dozen clowns who all have leaf blowers, and Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts is playing on the overhead speaker. It may not sound likely, but I am convinced that this is how I am going to die.
If you ever wanted to know, or a little piece of Cruz's brain, you now know his worst fears.
So if none of that made you chuckle, congratulations. You are apparently not a fan of gallows humor and clearly a better person than any of us here at Drinking News. Reporting live from Indonesia, where a giant reticulated python is looking at me the way Kelly Clarkson looks at a plate of chocolate cupcakes. My name is Cruz. Was that too mean?
She's still cute.
Okay.
No, but it was good. It was good. Regardless, it was good.
How about this?
Jeff Ross would have been happy.
How about this? Reporting live from Indonesia, where a giant reticulated python is looking at me the way I look at a basket of crispy, warm tortilla chips and a bowl of delicious salsa from Papacito's Cantina. My name is Cruz, and that is your
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, all. All right. Well, Ian pours our beer because we have a couple minutes left in this segment.
This beer should have been a whole unboxing video.
Yeah. I see it had a whole paper thing around it.
The complication of getting it out of this beautiful box took a little while. And then once I did, I had to pull the beer out, but there's also a ledger in here.
This is why you want to open this box of beer before the drinking starts.
Please read all of this before you drink it.
All about this. Just to make it even more
You gotta
interesting.
love Firestone
That's
Walker.
very small print,
So
too.
while you're opening this, should we stay away from the darker drinking news in the
No,
future?
see, here's the thing. I have a lot of questions about that.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like I was watching Norm Macdonald yesterday, and he was actually talking about death, which was interesting to
Love
see
Norm
him.
Macdonald.
Yeah, and he was talking about your chances of getting killed by different things, like attacked by things or a terrorist attack or anything like that. But he said your chances are better of getting attacked by your own heart. And my question is this a common thing where this guy lives? I mean, when he goes and says my wife was eaten by a reticulated python, does someone else be like, oh, yeah, I know, my cousin's was too?
Yeah,
That's the third one this week.
Yeah, exactly. Is this a common thing?
So I don't know, but I would say this is like when I was thinking about doing this story, I actually went and found an old book of like single panel cartoons that I remembered having years ago and hadn't looked at in a long time. And it was called Unpleasant Ways to Die. And it's this whole book of maybe like 50 single panel cartoons all about just unpleasant ways to die. And I thought maybe I'll get some ideas for the top 5 list from this. Well, I went back through the whole book, got 0 ideas, but laughed my ass off. So that's why I thought maybe someone will have as dark a sense of humor as I do, and will enjoy it.
Well, like the guy that tied all the balloons to his chair.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is the Darwin Award. I mean, people think this is funny because there's
Darwin Achievement
Awards,
Award.
right?
Yeah, right.
All right, so
speaking of dark,
unrolling
holy
the scroll.
Yeah.
They came inside the Firestone Walker Brewing Company scroll.
Oh boy, does this smell good!
Where's
Talks about
Firestone Walker located?
Since founding our brewery in
California.
'96, we have specialized in rare brewing beer in oak barrels. In the fall of 2006, we released a limited edition oak-aged strong ale called 10 to commemorate our 10th anniversary. This beer was blended with the help of our local winemaker friends, and the experience was greater than we could ever imagine. We now present 25, our 16th release.
Been a long time.
In what has become the
Been a
annual
long,
autumn
lonely time.
About the blending. This is a lot. The final blend has Parabola.
So we've had
Sticky
Parabola.
Monkey.
Well, okay. So we've actually had Parabolita on the show.
Right.
I have a bottle of Parabola at home that I thought we'd do
And
soon.
I have had Parabola.
But then I got
Parabola.
this, and I thought maybe.
So
we
this
should...
is the final blend has Parabola, Sticky Monkey, which we've also had on the show, Tequila Barrel Merkin. I've never tried the Tequila Barrel Merkin.
Merkin?
Ian, you need to taste this.
The Brandy Barrel Barley Wine. I love that already.
Mm-hmm. You need to taste
And
this.
Whiskey Barrel Wheat Wine.
Because you got like less than a minute left in this segment.
Do you know what a Merkin is?
Yes, I do. Thanks to Pearl Jam. I did not know.
I love
Pearl
this,
Jam.
and I want to marry it.
Yeah, I needed you to taste this because this is unbelievable. Firestone Walker. These guys know
Really
what's
good.
going on.
Really good.
So
The chocolate, the date, the raisiny, ridiculously sweet goodness going on in this thing is unbelievable.
all right, this has been a good show for tasting, right? We had the watermelon blonde.
Ooh, I love
we
that.
loved that. We had the double dry hopped Ghost in the Machine. We loved that. We had this tequila that just kept growing on us. And now this 25th Firestone Walker anniversary ale. It's and you know what? All this just gets me even more excited to realize that I might get Christmas ale this year from
Ooh, yeah.
now I don't know. We might not because it might need to have been aged already or
From
something.
Yoplait or Chobani. Who was it?
Chobani, yes.
Yeah.
Chobani. Yeah. So thank them for resurrecting
Maybe
Anchor Brewery.
they'll get me interested in their yogurt by making it beer flavored.
Ooh, I like it. And we'll be right back at Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. This show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And man, have we had some great craft beer and some great spirits.
Today has
on
been
this program.
great for beers and spirits.
Really has. So now I have not gone back since we tried this. And by the way, Terry had asked me where Firestone Walker is located. They are from California. I think this particular beer was crafted at their Marina Del Rey location, but they have several
nice.
locations, I believe, in California. But I have not gone back after trying the 25 anniversary ale. Gone back to the tequila, and so that's what I wanted to try in our
So
final
it's
segment
interesting
here.
because it takes a lot of the bright notes out of the tequila, but leaves you with a very sweet and almost a wine cask kind of finish to
Well,
it.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It almost feels like a spirit that's been finished in like a Chardonnay cask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that
For sure.
that brightness to
The
it.
oaky notes are huge when you do it that way. Going back to the beer, I don't know that it does any favors, but I don't think it does much in the way of detracting from it.
I don't know. Let me try some more.
Get you in there.
Yeah, let me evaluate further. Boy, this Firestone Walker, that's just an exceptional beer.
It's
I mean,
unbelievable.
This is one of those beers that you want to open when you have friends over and you're all going to be just sipping it and talking about it. This is not a hey, throw it back while you're watching the baseball game kind of beer.
No.
You know, although Ian would drink this floating down the river.
I would drink this floating.
But he'd
on
take
the-
a little more time than he would normally take.
That's
on
a
that.
good point, Terry. I think you're right.
That's possible.
Yeah.
The thought of this beer with a cigar, oh my God.
I know. It's
Oh my God.
This has been good pairings today between the spirits and the
Yeah, and really the same thing with this Don Fulano Anejo tequila and a cigar. I think it would just work almost
So
perfectly
good.
with just about anything.
And I think, again, I don't think it matters what the strength of your cigar is unless you have the boldest of bold. But I think even on the mild side, your cigar would go really, really well with this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So while you're ruminating on that and enjoying it, I want to see how you feel about this.
I mean, you could even go something with almost no flavor, like a what's it called, Cohiba Blue or something.
Right, yeah, and it would still probably meld pretty
And it would still
perfectly
be
with
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to see how you feel about this. One of the most famous men in the world, and his brother, also somewhat famous on his own as a professional athlete, have teamed up with a beer company called Garage Beer in Columbus to release a special brew of their own. The brother is a former Philadelphia Eagle in the NFL, and the most famous man in the world is also a football player, plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, but more importantly in terms of fame, he's
He
Taylor
has to be
Swift's
dating
boyfriend.
Taylor Swift,
Yeah,
who's the most
exactly.
famous football player
Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
else do you delve into the people that don't actually watch football?
Don't you know that like Tom Brady is out there somewhere? Because like for the last 30 years, right? Tom Brady's been like the most famous football player ever. Don't you think he's like sitting back there going, damn it, my one mistake. I should have dated Taylor Swift.
He's looking and watching the sponsorships on TV. That
Yeah,
I should have had that. I
should
should have had that.
That should have been me doing the Oreos commercial. Damn it. No, but Travis Kelce, actually, by all accounts, I understand to be a very nice guy. And he and his brother are pretty cool dudes. And they have decided to take on the challenge of doing a perfect pairing with Garage Beer. So you can check out Garage Beer online and see Jason and Travis Kelce. And they say it comes down to quality. Everyone knows I like to have a couple of beers now and then. So being owner, this is Travis Kelce speaking, being an owner of Garage Beer and heavily involved in making the best light beer is exciting. There's nothing better than to bring people together than a nice cold beer. And for Jason and me, that's what beer is all about. Friends, family, and fun. So.
See, I feel like that's great, but I feel like really what brings people together in his life is Taylor Swift.
You know,
Hey,
can
all
you
you
imagine
people
though?
out there.
I mean, think about this. You're a really outstanding football player
Yeah.
on the team that has won the Super Bowl like the last 2 years, right? In the NFL. And I'm sorry, I know I owe somebody money because I just said the words Super Bowl, and now I just doubled it. But my point is, you're like among like. You're in the stratosphere in terms of fame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're top elite athlete.
Right. But he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. But people see him in the street, hey, you're Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
You're Mr. Taylor Swift. Yeah, and that's why I got to feel kind of bad for him in a way. Like, he's no slouch. The man has achieved a great deal in his professional career.
But he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend no matter
he'll
which way
always
you cut
be
it. Yeah.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Oh, you won all those games?
It's like,
okay.
People come up to him and go, which one do you like? And he's like, what? Which Taylor Swift album do you like? You know? And by the way, so I'm a little bit old, but I was a disc jockey back when New Kids on the Block came out, right?
Yep.
And I'm even older than that. I was a disc jockey when Duran Duran came out. And I was working at a top 40 station, and I promise you this is a real phone call that I took. The top 40 station, of course, you get all the teenagers and even sub-teens that are listening to the station, right? I remember I answered the request line one day, and I must have been playing, The Reflex by Duran Duran at the time on the station. And the caller was obviously a pre-teen girl. And I hear this voice go, I said, hello, and I said the name of the station. And the voice goes, which one do you like? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Which one do you like? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're asking me. What do you mean, which one do I like? She goes, Simon, John. I forget what the rest of the names of the guys in Duran Duran were, but she wanted to know which one I liked. Yeah.
Which one you like?
Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel
Which one do you have the poster above your bed at home when you go home at night?
So Travis Kelce, which one do you like? Which Taylor Swift song is your favorite? And he's going to be dealing that, assuming they stay together, he'll be dealing with that for the rest of his life.
Oh boy.
And it doesn't matter. He could win like 12 Super Bowls. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, but
Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
The thing is that Taylor Swift's boyfriend always ends up being the subject of songs when they break up. So is this going to be the greatest album that Taylor ever puts out because it's Travis Kelce?
Please break up with Taylor Swift so we can get that album. That would be awesome.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's a far cry from that Drew guy that she used to talk about.
He's that freaking loser.
Drew sucks, man.
All right. Well, I just want to say, if you have the opportunity to purchase some Don Fulano Anejo tequila, I'm going to recommend that you do so.
Man, it's
not
the
cheap,
more I drink
but it gets
the better it gets.
and better. And don't even sleep on this Firestone Walker 25 anniversary. I mean, everything we've had on the show today has been good, but these last two have got me almost in a tailspin. They're so good. They're just Ian. Any thing you can tell us about next week's show?
Next week's show, we got Tony Barrios, the owner of Stallone Cigars, is going to be on. That's going to be outrageously cool. We're also going to be able to smoke those cigars.
Nice.
While we talk about it on the show, because we're going to be at Vinyl Draft. Now, we've been at Vinyl Draft before. That's Dove Meisinger's place. And he's such an amazing, if you remember the last time we were there.
Yeah, he was great.
We had that, the Heaven's Door whiskey,
yes.
the real exclusive one. I can't remember which one it was.
It was wonderful.
And it outrageously
Oh,
good.
yeah, that was
shared
really
all that
good.
with us.
So I have to ask you a favor for next week's show, then, Ian.
Okay.
When we're there with the rep from Stallone Cigars, we're upstairs in that wonderful lounge, and we're smoking and we're drinking, and I got some really good rum I'm going to bring next week, and some great craft beer. When we're there, just
I got
ask
some
me.
good whiskey I can bring, by the way.
Okay, well, we'll do that too.
Yeah.
Just ask me how I'm doing on my cigar at some point, because I want to be able to look at you and say, Ian, I am far from over. That's the Frank Stallone song.
Nice.
It may take a moment for anybody to get that, but and when you do, it may not be all that funny, but it came from me. So what do you expect? Have a great week, everybody. We're going to be
What you have to do is you have to
excited.
tell that joke many times to
Right.
get it funny.
Because it's the
You have to build up
repetition.
the funny.
It's the repetition.
It gets
yeah.
friction.
So and you know my relationship with that joke, it's far from over. Have a great week, everybody.
Now we're talking.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week. And of course, as we like to say at the end of the show,
Oh,
wait.
one
Ian, that's
second.
for a little more. Stand by.
Pour, y'all.
Do we have the time? Cheers,
cheers,
y'all.
y'all.
And I should